These practices are resetting yourself so that you are not caught up in that space. When you're caught up, you don't really distance from yourself to understand how this mechanism of what you call the body, the mind, and the personality, that is, you so identify with it and you get caught up with it, whether it's caught up as a saying the story of this body and the trauma of this body and the past of this body. But if you don't reset, you never ever have really walked on the space of your soul. You'll never find yourself because you will play a role and you will just gently come into a place of, now what am I going to do? Because I felt that with that person that he has, of course, he has trauma of someone physically hurting him when he was a taxi driver, but he's traumatized by it, but he still can't come out of it because he's identified himself from that space of the trauma. It's not easy if we don't have a practice. And we are very blessed that we can take that break. I used to identify with my body. I have a strong physicality, but now I just observe myself and I get caught up. Without this body, who am I? Without this story, who am I? And that part is the part that the Samadhi does for you, is you take a break from everything. And for you, it might be going into the space of the nature. In the nature, if you really see, there is no big tree, there is no old tree, there is no plant, there is no specific about what a tree should go. But when we are living in this world, on the surface of the world, we constantly battle with image, constantly battle with security. And you really have to ask yourself, is this who I am? Even a lot of people say, I will work with this and I'll come back to yoga. No, you can't come back to yoga, because the more you working out on the surface and fighting against those waves, you have never enjoyed the ride because you're constantly battling. And if that battle for you is your fear, if that battle for you is that your health, is that battle for you aging, then the more you slip into this place with the practice, you will find that there is a path of embracing. Of course, I have trauma of with water as a child, because I was drowning as a child. So I never ever look at the ocean without being fear of it. But later on in my life, even I drowned again 3 years ago. I went back and I started embracing her. And the more I was embracing her, that space and the depth, I saw the love of it. I saw my fear of it. I saw how it tend to come into more so that I could actually let go of that struggle, let go of that fear. I'm just using the analogy of what happened to me, but if that space is for you, without the finance, without the part that you're so fear of and your nervous system is totally fired when someone talking the topic of finance, when someone talking the topic of the age, or someone talking the topic of the health, or it can be relationship, whatever this identity that we are trapped need to be reset. So for me, it's more of going into my backyard, or I took a walk this morning, early, very morning, so that I could reset myself. As soon as I go there and I can feel that breeze on my skin, I can feel my feet again. And I said for the first time to Dasa, even being alone, having diabetes, I start feeling the cold again on my hands. I didn't identify myself because that is a feeling. So all these parts that we have overprotected ourselves, And the vulnerability is the place that we will always make a relationship to reset ourselves. So whatever you're going through, so I am going to allow you to come into these places. Where is your fight? Where is your growth has stopped? Where is your fear? Wherever, because the world is quite loud these days. It's not like it's used to be. It used to be newspapers and a radio and a television, but it's now much more screaming, and you have this screaming device next to you, and we are constantly addicted to it. We might just go to do something very personal, very important, because important parts are also in it. Then we do get caught up in it. And just see that you need to break those parts, not as a fight, but as a practice. And enjoy that space. For me also, like I put today, I took soil into my hand, and as soon as I took the soil and I started looking into that space of the soil, so many things. Even it had those slugs in it and like a centipede in it. And the more I was taking time to look at it to fill up another pot, I realized the smaller version and the bigger version of this space. And I am that centipede. I am that wherever my consciousness is looking at. You need moments like this in your life, whatever you do, to work with the space of those elements, whether it's the air for you, whether it's the earth for you, whether it's the sun or gazing at the sun. And it is very, very important we take these breaks so that we tend to get out of the conditioning and the identity of us to breathe, to reset. Um, so whatever it's that for you, now take a deep breath in and elongate the spine, and shoulders are open, and elevate the space of the chest, and very gently allow the breath to move into this body, and just rather than breathing, start savoring the breath and see the breath and the body. But don't think this is your breath or my breath or in a particular way. In that very moment, allow the prana to feel in the body. What is this gentle wave of breath does to this space that you're temporarily occupying? We all are temporarily occupying these bodies and the minds and their suits. Very gently spread the spine, spread the space of the rib cage, create space. Very gently let go the prominent role that's coming up to you. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a son. Just be aware of it. And now take a deep breath in and breath out. Twist the spine to the right side, stomach very gently pulling in. Open up the chest. And I will allow Darren to move the camera towards him. And take another deep breath in. Come back to the center and gently coming into the Sukhasana by changing the formation of the legs. Couple of more breaths that you're creating some space, creating some release, working on the tightness of the nerves, tightness of the body, tightness of the mind. And very gently breathing out to the other side. Opening up very gently. Take a deep breath in, coming back into the center. Now just think that it's the beginning of the present. Now shrug the shoulders up and tilt the head back and massage your back of the skull very gently. Open and close the mouth wider. And just Observe how this body is contributing into the present. Remember, we can't change the world, but we can change the way we live in that space. It's all about what kind of attitude you have towards life. Now, breath out into the chest and completely breathe out to a seated cat. Now, there's acceptance, there is an understanding. And please leave your educations and what you read in the news and articles. Just come to the nature of the part of the nature, like how I felt with the soil today. It puts the life into perspective. Breathing in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the third eye. Breath out, observe. Back into the center now. Is there anything that need to happen for you to have that observation or to have that effect? Take a deep breath out and collapse the spine. This time, just engage the pelvic floor, the navel, and the throat. Almost Mahamula Bandha. Breathing in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the third eye. Push the belly and soften that space of the digestion. Now breathing into the center and just observe. It's a perfect morning. There's a light coming into all of you and the nature of it. Just enjoying the nature of it. And live like this is the last moment of your life. Would you want to be in the conflict of the world? Or you want to see the grace of that nature and the grace of that connection? And you don't need to have a biological explanation to feel what you're feeling. Now take a deep breath in and stretch the neck to the right very gently. Observe your left shoulder. Observe your left rib cage. And just see the grace of a movement of a posture and a breath into a connection and an observation. Without explanation, just observe. Back into the center and stretch the neck onto the other side. Take a moment to that to understand how small we are in this vastness. We have a bloated personality. When you have a bloated personality, you don't see the grace of life anymore. Back into the center. Now take a deep breath in and very gently bring that left foot into the back and keep the right hip foot open. Take a deep breath in. Expand. Expand yourself from that small area of the body, small area of your thought, conflict. Take a deep breath in. The breath is vast. Observe how much life is it. Without that breath, there is no movement. Without this body, there is no movement. Without the sun, there is no movement. Without the earth, there is no movement. Look. Look. Now take a deep breath in and lift up the space of the heart and drop the elbows, walk those palms. Now, this is what I'm saying about looking. When you look into a zero, there is nothing in a zero. But if you keep looking, suddenly you start seeing things that are glaring. Keep looking. There it's the glimpse of this body, glimpse of this breath, glimpse of this vastness, glimpse of life, glimpse of a person that you really knew. Because you normally have a perception about a person because you say, "Oh, that person is like this, so this person is like this." Now take a deep breath in and very gently allow yourself to come back. Just navigate the body, navigate the hands. Let the hands be the eyes. What do you feel from the palms? Just feel how your body touching the earth, touching the body. Understand from your, let your conscious be the stethoscope of this breath, stethoscope of this body, stethoscope of everything out in. Now let it give you that different impression of that space of what you're calling a body, my body, plank, strong on the pelvic floor. Just keep that space of the spine elongated, create space. What do you hear from your spine? Let that sound play, let that vibration place into the ear of this body. Drop the knees and stretch the spine totally without breath. Now see the vastness of the breath when you are savoring it. There is so much realization because suddenly you could see that mind moving into all directions. And the breath has been the ground in the body, has been the ground in the calming effect. Focus your attention on that space. Doesn't have to be grand. As soon as you get people to use their senses, there is a calming effect. And I use this a lot with our clients because they gently start waking up. They see the person differently. They see the nature differently. They see themselves differently. Now crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Drop the belly and soften the hips. Elbows onto the floor. Very gently roll side to side to warm up the face of that energy. And breathing in to a energy flow to grace this posture of Bhujangasana, a gentle resonance of a cobra. How does the cobra feel the earth? Absolutely out of the vibration. They have a poor sight. Now overlooking into the right side, back into the center, overlooking into the left side, back into the center. I'll relax. I'll let the third eye drop onto the floor. Palms into the back, palms facing up. What do you feel by facing it up? Observe that you have become noticeable of your frustrations, and the urge to get out is the reaction. Spend more time because that means you are connecting back and you're disconnecting from that reactive part. Mm. Now take a deep breath in and very gently roll the third eye side to side and reconnect with the space. Just come into the connection with the space of the third eye. Then arms stretch onto the sides, arms facing down. Now very gently bring that left foot over the right leg and take a deep breath in. Right, keep the chest down. So you just wanted to open up that hip and very gently take a deep breath in and bring the knee to the next to the chest on the right side, or to the left side actually. And now let your natural connection of the head to turn onto a side that it is, there's no pressure. There is an honest nature of this posture and the breathing. This is not about doing a weird posture or trying to emphasize on the physicality of the body. None of that. None of that. This is your finding a space comfortable to observe the nature. I'll let the posture, the breath, the psychology of the teaching to nature you. When you feel in that space of wanting, not for you, it wants, it wants you to be in this space. Then there is a feeling good space because people don't know what feeling good. People think it's drink, driving, money, company. See how the world has created a destruction of giving you a map and educated you to be a fool. You just love being in this space. That's all. There is no money to it. There is no about paying rent to something. There is no about, I have sorted out all the security because there's no security. Security will be there, you won't be there. Your natural way of being for the most of your existence. Now take a deep breath in, and you can stretch that leg further onto the left side, and you can bring the elbows onto the floor, and your upper body comes into a cobra position, but your leg is totally stretched, and your foot is flexing. You can open up very gently to grow into this space. So that you could see now you're not looking at this body as aging. You're accepting it as it is, all the nature of its going. There's no problem for you to look at an old tree in a garden and a young plant next to it. But you have a problem looking at yourself like that because you're constantly worried about what do other people think about it. Or you tell yourself that this is what other people say about it. So take a moment to observe and release this part of the pressure. And there is this addiction of acceptance from others, acceptance to a certain manuscript given for you. Back into the center and relax, and you can very gently bring the leg back. Now take your time and very gently transforming the posture onto the other side. So very gently over, opening up the groin and get that space. Very gently opening up the space which are shy, which has been not in the space of the light, and then bringing the knee next to the chest. Then taking a deep breath in very gently, coming into a gentle cobra on the upper body, maybe even stretching the leg even further. People always says to you, walking on water is a miracle. And have you just asked yourself, just walking in your body, being in your body, being in your breath? I think that is the most important miracle. Everyone wants to conquer other planets. Let's contemplate that for a while, without a boundary, without a politics, without freedom. All these things, all this liberation, all talk, 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 talk. And suddenly your mind is more activated and you can't actually relax your mind. So it is stealing you from your sleep. It's stealing you from your relationships. Once you stretch the leg, you bring back and relax. Now we are very gently going into Dhanurasana, but without the Dhanurasana, what we're going to hold is left ankle you're holding now. Now you can keep the right elbow and very gently lift up the knee, holding into that position, opening up the upper body very gently. So it's not a Purna Dhanurasana, it's not a full-on bow, but you're discovering the space. Imagine you're just for the first time doing these phrases and you allow this body and breath to support this journey of back to the center and relax. Now let's do the other side. Back into the center and relax. Now, now I'm going to go into the Dhanurasana. So you take your time and hold on to both ankles for a while and take a deep breath in and very gently coming into the Purna Dhanurasana. Now, is the physicality more important than the breath, or the breath is important than the physicality, or the grounding is important? Now, instead of being in the physicality and necessarily it's not who you are, there is a different level of things about you make who you are. Take a moment, take a break from the identity, take a break from the breath, take a break from the posture, and relax. Now you might be calling about this and that for yourself, but you have taken a break. You are experiencing total level of consciousness. Maybe one part for you must be breath, one part might be the body. Now coming to the acceptance of, do you need anything in this very moment right now? Now, this is the one that you need to exercise. Armed with peace, whatever the moment it is. I also tell myself, I don't want an easy life. I always tell the universe, whatever you can call it, give me everything what you want to throw at me, but also give me the strength to work through it in that realization. Because I can't carry all the stuff if I don't have that realization. And this is also a good time that you don't have to be the atlas of carrying everything in the world. I used to be the atlas carrying the world, remember? So if you're that atlas that carrying in all the world drama, it's time for you to release. Now bring the palms onto where the elbows are. Take a deep breath in and very gently coming into up face. shoulders relaxed and chest open. Take a deep breath into the down face, out breath. Now, very gently drop the knees and stretch the spine. Completely breathe out. Completely coming into that space of take a moment. So now your physicality, your bank account, your health, your time, your relationship wasn't the only thing that necessarily that should be who you are. Take a moment into that place. Now very gently coming into the down face, lifting up onto the toes and bending the knees and stretch a little bit more from the back of the body. Now take a deep breath in, left leg up into the back, left knee onto the chest, breathe out, stretch back, left knee onto the left elbow, breathe out, stretch back, left knee onto the right elbow, stretch back, left knee to the front, arms stretching to the back, arms raise onto the ground. Spread the wings wider and touch the floor and raise the arms back again to the ground. Now very gently arms stretch onto the side and Garudasana right on the top. Now take a moment. Observe the breath. Observe that all your world interpretation is being observed and that you're totally being open up into this. You're caught up in the world because you don't give enough for yourself. And when you come into that space, when I say enough for you, it's not for your personality, it's not for your story. It's taking a break of that. That might be your stuff, that might be your block. But when you come into this realization, opening up onto the Virabhadrasana from the Garudasana, take a mudra. So for some of you, it can be opening up the floodgates. Some of you, it might be the beauty underneath that you're discovering. Some of you, it can be the lila. Some of you, it might be the silence. Some of you, you are really observing for the first time everything without being personal. Gentle arch. Back into the center. Elbow onto the knee. Right hand in the back for a while and then get the elbow opening up, the rib cage opening up. Then very gently, right reaching up. Now you can bring the left hand down to the floor wherever it's comfortable. If not, keep the elbow on the knee. Or use a block and just observe and very gently you're treading with the body. You're treading with the uncomfort without reacting onto it. The life is every moment is like that. When you encounter with new, you're treading. You just want to float on this space. You don't want to drown. You don't want to fight. That's how you normally work. Either you drown or you fight. And that's what creates the tension. Just observe. Right, reaching into the front and touch the floor. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling, opening up. No impact. Just was being released. Just amazed into the back and touch the floor. Now drop the knee and holding onto the front knee, back and drop and just lunge forward and backward, coming into that place of relief. Whether it's a joy, whether it's a pain, whether it's a past, whether it's a story. And this is the time just take a couple of more breaths and release those things that you are identifying yourself, not obviously with positive things, but traumatic things. Just observe that. The pattern always want to talk about it. That's how it keeps the ego intact. Now very gently palms onto the floor into a plank. Now drop the knees and stretch the spine on the outlet. Now, most of the time, if you don't have this space, you take all your initial decisions from the surface and you rearrange the surface. And you always think that you can work it out. You always think that you can bounce back. But today in the practice, you're cutting a bit more deeper than that. If any moment, if the finance is taken, the age is taken, the body is taken, what identity you're going to take it next? Who are you? In a way, you sort of don't recognize yourself. Do you really, consciousness is that you're recognizing yourself, or that you're in a space that it's always been one way because you're constantly telling your story? Now, there is a bit of numbness here. There's an energy has the sacredness of the energy on the earth moving through you, and you becoming part of the nature is no longer there because you have created something out of illusion, a younger self, older self. I mean, your physicality can be used, you won't be the atlas. Now, when you come into this realization, when the realization, we don't have to give more wording into this. I learn a lot of things about me with all these blessings of injuries. Heart, gallbladder, this, that, that. Just have that meaningful relationship with yourself without identifying, without telling a story. Now, very gently, when you come into that self, coming into the down phase, as such a privilege and an honor, just fills you. Now, take a deep breath in, right leg up into the back, right knee to the right chest, breathe out. Stretch back, right knee to the right elbow, breathe out. Stretch back, right knee to the left elbows. Stretch back, right foot into the front. Arms stretching to the back. Arms raise onto the crown. Spread the wings and touch the floor. Arms raise onto the crown. Bending the knee and sitting deeper. Garudasana left on the top. But there is a time in our life we are physically able to do those certain things. Then we lose the physicality and we have the mentality to work with things. So just observe. I'm not saying that you have to shook one thing out to be on the other thing. That's not what I teach. If you don't work on everything, life situations can perpetuate almost like an avalanche to you, a series of things happening to you. Now, when you come into this space, coming into a Virabhadrasana, very gently. Now, the identity you have, if you want to have something, it is nothing to recognize you because it's the nature of who you are. It's nothing to talk about it. It's the nature of who you are. It's not one way because you understand all the ways. There's a lightness in not knowing and being in the space of the unknown. With anything that I said, with the water. So observe your triggering points. Gentle arch, elbow onto the knee, left reaching up, left reaching into the sacrum, elbow pointing out. If you have a block, right reaching down and left reaching up. Left reaching into the front, touch the floor, right reaching to the ceiling, into the back and touch the floor. Drop the back knee and holding onto the front knee. I'll lunge forward and back there. Now release all the layers of that you're not opening, even this space of teaching to be accessible. What are you protecting? What are you fighting on a surface? What are you tipping points? Just observe. Don't just be a vapor of fizzling away. Because you're really not there when you fight, when you struggle. Very gently into a plank. Strong on the pelvic floor. Lower plank. Breathing in into up face. Breathing down to the down face. Breathing in into a plank. Lower plank. Up face. Down face. Breathing in into a plank. Drop the knees and stretch the spine. Now just see that out of this, there is no identity. To take a moment and put your foot into the space of that you're totally struggling with. Just let it be. Now there is no reaction if you don't have identity. Wherever you are not want to look at, put just the foot, just the space of the hand. You don't have to navigate this whole thing. You just navigate this moment. You don't have to be safely traveling on this traumatic space that you are not able to look at psychosomatically. Some people are drowning in these places that they have created, a fight with the unknown. And they only want to be in the space of knowing. Now, very gently move into a space of a child pose with that innocence of the child that has grown into this. Also, there's tension being a child, bring not knowing, it's tension. So, all your education has a big impact on you. Your conditioning has a big impact on you. Well, the practice is giving you this amazing opportunity open yourself to release all those that you are storing. And just see the life is playing much more larger than your story and the identity. For this moment. Just shade with this space because this space understands you more than no one else can understand. So this is what opening up means, opening up without the judgment, opening up without the criticism, opening up without the doing. You need to realize this. This is giving actually time for yourself, not for the identity, the realization of that space. Put yourself in that space. I'll let that everybody who you call a community to come into that space with you, with this new journey. When you come into that realization, crown of the head onto the floor, lifting up the back up, very gently activating the pituitary and the pineal energy. Roll back onto the third eye and keep the fist on the third eye in a very subtle way. Now observe that the air, the water, the nature have always looked out for you. Because it is looking out for you in a subtle ways, it understands you more than you understand that space within. Because it's not screaming, the time that it's freeing the nature, like earthquakes, floods, then only you realize the harmony of that. Then only realize that they are there, but then your ego will say they're there against me. So I always say, whatever you give me also the strength to walk in those spaces. And the sudden realization is nothing other than lights happening from that dark, fearful space into a light, a moment that you are not alone. That you don't have to be the atlas. Wake up the spine with this realization very gently. You don't have to be superhero. It's much more profound that you are not any of these things. And it was meant to be. Let the spine begin to feel that peace. Wake up the spine. Now very gently lift up onto the knees. A couple of more breaths and warm up the right arm, raising up and rolling into the back. Left arm raising up, rolling into the back. If the hips are the space, you want to gently arch and coming into that space of the camel pose, asana. Come. If the toes onto the floor and the heels are there, lift up, then move on to that. A bolster in the back of the foot or on the ankles or the calves, and then you can hold that. Just experience. Now, asana is there, pranayama is there, dharana is there, dhyana is there. Is that all of you? Or there are different things about you which makes you you? Support the back and go into the child pose. Go into the innocence of. Find acceptance that the world doesn't have to give you. Acceptance and the liberation that you are finding within yourself. When you come into this realization, I want you to, when you found that acceptance today, the liberation, you're allowing you to be you. That does not mean that you're reacting and praising something. It's just you come to that realization. So then who you actually think you are is also a lot of borrowed versions. There is a body that belongs to the nature. There's a breath that belongs to the prana or the life force of the air. There's a heat that body keeps it alive. So we all are borrowers living. And when I say parasitic is your conditioning of your ego. When you don't have that respect into the space that you're borrowing. Because if you're borrowing from someone, it's easy for you to be let things be borrowed from you. Now very gently wake up the spine in that realization. Suddenly we went to discover something, and when we went there, we actually discovered ourselves. There's no boundaries, there's no politics, there's contemplation. Now find the beauty of that, what you have found, the gem of it. That you're suddenly looking at a zero, and suddenly through the zero, you see the life is an incredible marvel. Now the miracle is that you're walking on the earth with this miracle of understanding. When you come into that realization, there's a growth. There's nothing to be hiding, nothing to be hated, nothing to be covered up. Words always come short, so don't worry about wording yourself. If you come into this realization, you will have a smile, you will have a laugh, but you will have a giggle of release in the identity that you were so close to holding. And for you, it might be a breath, it might be a yawn, it might be whatever to express it. Let it express. Because it's not the acceptance by others, it's just you accept yourself as a realization. So this is releasing the pressure of conforming and striving for similar things. Everyone wants to look their body looks like that. It's not really real. Where did all these things come? Everyone has to have this car, that car, this dress, this address, this job, that relationship. It's almost pictures, pictures. Life has just become a picture of things. That's why class was today about nature. There's no nibbana. I'll let that self just accept you for you, who you are. There is nothing telling you this or that. Start seeing everyone and life in this way. When you come into that, no pressure space, it's honest. Your practice was very honest because it was the nature is honest. And you should find comfort in being in this space. That you felt natured, you felt being wanted. Arms raised onto the ground in this realization. Protect the space of the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, Muladhara. Coming to the natural way of being in the most of your existence. I said the miracle is that arms raised onto the ground, palms onto the namaskar position. Namaste. The connection with the nature of yourself, nature of whatever the other things are. Namaste. You just reconnected to something that you have lost. Because you have chosen losing that and being advanced with your technology, advanced with this and that and that and that and that. Actually, in fact, we have disconnected from the nature of. And this is what we have become unhealthier. And if you are spending more time on the space of the technologies and on the space of this or that, it is a time for you to come into that realization. So that's why I think I can't see the screen. Namaste to you all. Namaste, Matt and Matt's father, Maria and Say. And the iPhone is that Rebecca the other side? Ah, yes. Good. And Sylvia. Love to you all. Does yeah, it was a great class. Revisit the classes and make sure that be a fan of yourself, not the identity, being a fan of yourself and coming into that and give a break from that, take break from that technology and all that. So, and when I say, when you're looking into the zero, it might look there's nothing, but if you really look at it like I did with the soil this morning, digging into the soil and find two slugs in there and a centipede, um, I, I was so happy to see life in it. And then at that very moment, I saw I am that creature also in a vastness and how small I was in comparison to it. But sometimes our mind is so big, our egos are so big, we don't realize that. And then we have these security systems, we protect our ego and identity. So my love to you all. Enjoy the rest of the day. Love you very much. Bye for now.